Hi, Mickey.
Hi there, Antonia.
How did you start breathwork?
Well, I've been practicing yoga for 25 years. And in the yoga world of good health, breathwork and breathing is a practice all on its own. I don't know if you've heard of the 8 limbs of yoga, but the 8 limbs of yoga are like what we call the noble ways of living. And within that, you have asana practice, which is a physical practice of yoga, and you have pranayama, which is breath work, breath control. To control the breath, you have control of your life force, breath being the energy of life. So it started back there, and it's been going, it's been going a long way since.
And how has breathwork helped you?
Well, as I say, being a yoga, really I'm a student of yoga. Well, I'll always be a student of yoga forever and ever. And for me, being able to, control yourself, control your circumstances. Don't let the circumstances control you. And by controlling your breath, for example, use a turn of phrase, oh God, I feel so out of breath. Oh, I couldn't catch my breath. Just things like that, things that people use in their ordinary dialogue without even thinking that they're even considering that they're talking about breath work. And you think about the only time really in our Western culture of medicine and well-being that one is taught breath work is in pregnancy for birth. That's the only single time that breath work is taught or given as a practice. And I remember when I had my oldest son's 26. And when I was pregnant with him, I was a very alternative woman. And I remember being given this breath work, which I'll always forget. It has a place in my heart called Pant Like a Dog. And it's like, and so I learned lots of different, I'd always already practiced in yoga, but I'd learned lots of different things about breathing and how it can control you and how that it can really be utilized in a very magical way. It's really an unsung hero of good health.
And what has changed in your life due to breath work?
Better health, better well-being. I use my breath work and my yoga practice when I'm teaching to help people understand, firstly, that you can improve your fitness and your health and your well-being without doing what we call exercising. Because people say to me, I'm not fit enough to do yoga, Mickey, when they see yoga on Instagram and it's people backflipping across the page. But actually, breath work, as I said at the beginning, is one of the limbs of yoga, and it's a very important practice in itself to be taken as a single practice. And so when I'm teaching yoga, I'm always emphasizing the importance of the breath as one follows through the asana. And I try to teach, I don't try, because trying is a word with no energy. I teach breath work within my yoga practice, depending on what the requirements of the students are.
Amazing. And for how many years have you been practicing breath work and who you have become because of it?
I have become the sensei that I am. Seriously though. As I say, I've been practicing yoga for a long time, and actually over the last year, as I haven't been able to really go out and do so much yoga because of all the reasons that we know, I've really developed my a quieter practice, which has been of a more meditative work, and also within the energy healing that I practice as well. Breathing again is used as a way of bringing energy to the surface for the healer to transmit to the patient. So there is this very, very special practice, breath work, and it's it's a big, huge, massive encyclopedia all to itself. There's so many different and exciting things that you can do with your breath. And it's really important when we think about what's happening in the world at the moment, that our lungs are used to the capacity that they are, and that our nose, which is the first barrier of our immune system, is kept clean and healthy. And many breath works or breathing exercises work on those specific things. So it's really at the top of the list.
Brilliant. And how have you helped your client through breath work?
I help them because my mission in my life, and has been for such a long time, is to just make people feel better about themselves and feel happier. If you're happier and I'm happier, we create a happier vibration. It's a happier world for us all to live in. And, you know, breath work, breathing, the feedback I get from my clients or my students is that a feeling of energizing, a feeling of almost like a lightness and a euphoria that comes from breath work. Because when we're sitting, as we're sitting here now in the room, we're only using a very small amount of our lung capacity. And people are breathing very often at the top of their lungs. And at the other parts of their lungs, there's dead air inside there. And so these amazing breathworks of pushing that air out, making space for fresh air to come in. Because just like anything in health practice, you have to exhale. And that as a metaphor can be used for many different things, like to give. To give is to exhale, and to inhale is to receive. And that is a spiritual practice in itself. And that can be anything like giving money to charity, creating space for prosperity, for money to come back to you. So this inhaling and exhaling is a practice that can be applied to many different things and not just singly breath work.
Amazing. And how have you helped them?
How do I help them? Do you mean literally? Yeah. I use different breathing techniques, and which you will see when you go on Breath Hub, the app.
Well done. And what do you teach?
What do I teach as breathing techniques? Well, first of all, you can download the Breath Hub app and find out, but they are all principally yogic breathing techniques. And a couple of the new ones that we're going to have on there is Nodi Shananda, which is alternate nostril breathing, where you're inhaling from the left nostril, and this is activating the right side of the brain. And then you're inhaling and exhaling the left nostril, and you're activating the right side of the brain. So that one, for example, yoga is a science. These breathing techniques have been around for thousands of years, and it's not some sort of sitting around in the room with your eyes closed, as my guru says. It really is something that can significantly change your life if you are willing to let it. And if one has to have a commitment to something like breath work. You have to have a belief and a commitment. And so to do something like get an app like Breath Hub and give it a go. Don't just go like that, oh yeah, I went on that app last night, I had nothing else to do. It's something like, do you want to improve your health? Yes. Then you must commit to something. You can't just go around. Improving your health and your happiness and well-being is not to be scoffed at. Otherwise, you're in the wrong room.
And what illness or traumas have you and your client been able to heal through breath work?
Well, I'll give you an example. My father is very ill right now. And he actually, during lockdown last year, he's 80 years old, he started yoga because he wanted to, well, I was doing it on Zoom, as we all know, that's the old person. So I said to him, because obviously he's in Glasgow, I said to him and my mother, how would you like to do some yoga with me on Zoom? And they were like, yeah, hadn't thought about it before. And obviously because they're both 80, so they're not as mobile as, say, you and I, or many people that are younger than them. Much of that was sat around breathwork. And he's a very ill man, but he still keeps up his breathing. And he put a really nice little review on my yoga page on Facebook. Get that little plug in there. Just to say that he really wishes he'd learned something like that many, many years ago, because what it had done for him, even at the age of 80, he significantly noticed the change. It switched on a light to a different way of sitting, breathing, that he realized, when he was going out for a walk, he took a different way of thinking about his body and his breathing. And it just really shows that it's never too late. You are never too old, young, fat, thin, healthy, flexible, non-flexible to do this practice.
What are the results clients get through working with you?
Well, it can be, when I have my one-to-one clients, I'm very, they tell me, for example, what their issues are. It could be something like, I have one client at the moment who's an asthmatic, and actually with the gyms, etc., being closed down, the only way for her to be encouraged and inspired to do yoga and practice that's why she got in touch with me, because with the best will in the world, she just couldn't get inspired to do it. And so I look at all of them on an individual basis. And even when I do groups classes, I'm always looking to see what, I'm fascinated by it. I love what I do. So I'm always looking at people. And there are lots of modern shapes, the way that people stand, the way that thing. So I start with very simple things like how you stand, how you sit, and how you breathe, definitely. I always do that, because the capacity for the lungs to change your mindset. And at the moment, the mindset is a very fragile thing. So being able to use breath control and the feeling, going back to what we were saying about at the beginning, the feeling of, oh my God, everything's out of control. Feeling that you're not in control of what's going on around you, it's controlling you. The fear, the circumstances is bombarded. But if you take that all the way back to your breath, it's like stop. Just stop. Then slowly start again. You're running around chasing your tail. Panic. Stop first. Then slowly start. Stop the world from spinning. The world does not have to spin 24/7. When you come into the space, if you're going to do a session with me, the first thing is to just sit down. Just that in itself. Sometimes you never get the opportunity just to sit, to reflect, to step back. This is just a physical form. There is so much more outside of that. And step one is, who am I? Who am I? What am I doing? Where do I want to be? I've came to you, Mickey, because something's missing. And I know that it's something, but I don't know how to find it. And that's where I can help you. So it's finding your true self, the real self, the soul, the spiritual self. That's where it all begins. And that all starts with just quietly sitting down for a moment and to connect with your breath. Sometimes maybe if you come to a yoga class or a session, you've never even thought about it. Or maybe you have, but you just haven't sat down and gone, right, I'm just going to sit in a room quietly and I'm just going to be aware of the inhale. Like when you close your mouth and you inhale through your nose, just really switch on to that barrier one. That's immune system barrier one is your nose. And all the filter, if you imagine it's like a mesh, and all those pollutants and viruses are all coming through there. And that nose is barrier 1. So fix that, and you know, you're already a step ahead. And all the things that, like being aware of the breath as it comes down through the nose, and to just really start to switch on to the journey of the breath and what it does as it comes in, the rise and fall. We live in a life of cycles, you know, sunrises, sunsets, you know, and breath, inhale, exhale is also a cycle. So it all starts with very basic concepts like that, really. You know, without bombarding it and going on and on and on and making it sound like it's all woo. It's all actually very simple. We all know it. The answers are all within. It's just, and using your breath is a very lovely, soft, gentle way of connecting to that. So,
thank you, Mickey.